They don't have this opportunity to work with other companies and do hands-on activity that we do in class.
Those hands-on projects include building electronic circuits and 3D modeling and design.
We provide opportunities for our seniors to have internships, and we also like to expose them to things outside of our building, taking them on various college tours, site visits, so that they have an opportunity to see what those fields entail.
Jakari Dillard is a junior, and he's already secured an internship with the help of Jennifer Gilbert, the Career Academy coordinator.
I was able to get an internship as a cybersecurity intern in software engineering services. It's a fully remote, virtual internship, and we actually learn the basics of cybersecurity. We are able to apply the logistics and principles of cybersecurity to how software engineers use it in their daily life.
And when it's time for Jakari to graduate, he'll be full steam ahead of some of his peers. For more information about Ramsey's Academy of Engineering, visit bhamcityschools.org. I'm Fred Davenport with BCSD.
And I'm a third grader at Glen Iris Elementary School, and I'm going to read you my favorite book, that's on Ana Sonata. I'm going to read you my favorite page. Mira, mamá, esto, tipo sonata. Veo un ratón, hay un ratón en la luna. Dani preguntó a su mamá, ay, mira, ese es el pico. Hay el veo, dijo su mamá, aunque en realidad no veo nada. No, no es un pico. La gente dice que la luna es hecha de queso. Yo soy un página amigo y tú también puedes hacer uno.
Birmingham is always on the move. You got places to go, people to see, fast-paced jobs, and paid dream weeks. We got class at 9, work at 4, dinner at 6, and plans at 8. We got a million things to do. When the buses running back to back, there's never been a better way to experience the Magic City.
These three Woodlawn High School students are getting an early taste of college life. They are part of Early College at Woodlawn. The students are taking college courses while in high school.
Early college helps me find out if I want to go to college, because some people in high school, they don't know if they want to go to college. They don't know if it's for them.
The excitement of the students is really phenomenal. It's contagious. The students really want to get into something that is invigorating, that is challenging for these academically gifted students. So it's something just to see them become interested, apply, go through the process of becoming an early college student, and then getting onto those college campuses.
The students say they're taking classes at Jefferson State Community College and the University of Alabama at Birmingham.
At first, it was a little, difficult adjusting to college classes because you being, an underclassman in a room full of people that's majoring in big things like being a doctor or a lawyer, it's kind of intimidating. You get a little nervous, you get a little shook up. But me, personally, just in the morning, wake up, be like, nothing crazy.
When they graduate from high school, the students say they'll have roughly 30 to 40 college credit hours. They'll have a chance to graduate early and save money.
It's amazing because we use the scholarship that we're going to get. So, we don't have to spend it out over 4 years. We can just use it over our 3 years. I am very proud because a lot of people don't get this opportunity, especially when you have people that they're willing to pay for it for you. So you don't have to come out of pocket for anything, no books, no extra other fees, any of that, they have it for you. So your parents not coming out of pocket, they're not stressing about it.
The students say their college professors and early college coordinator are very helpful and want to see them succeed. You can learn more about the early college program at bhamcityschools.org.
Hi, my name is Karen Harville. I'm a third grader at Phillips Academy, and my favorite book is The Snowy Day. And I'd like to read a portion. While he slept, he dreamt that the sun had melted all the snow away. But when he woke up, his dream was gone. The snow was still everywhere. New snow was falling. After After us, he called to a train from across the hall, and they went out together in deep, deep snow. I'm a paid cow, and you should be one too.
To learn more or to volunteer to read with our students, please visit BHAMFirst.org or call the Division of Youth Services at 205-320-0879.
Good afternoon. Thank you so very much for coming. My name is Cheryl Wheeler Stewart, and I'm the Communications Officer for Birmingham City Schools. On behalf of our Superintendent, Dr. Mark Sullivan, and our Mayor, Mr. Randall Woodfin, we again want to thank you for coming this afternoon for this very important meeting on literacy, K-3 literacy to be exact. If you are entering the arena, please come on in and take a seat because we are about to begin. Again, thank you very much. I have a few announcements to make. First of all, if you park at the Boutwell parking deck, tickets can be validated at the front table. Also, you may just happen to see several members of our Board of Education leaving at a certain time. That's because they have a meeting around 7 p.m. to attend with the State Board of Education. So we have our board members here with us as well as members of the City Council, but we do want you to understand that their commitment lasts almost 24/7. They're working all the time, and we appreciate that. Also, I would like to acknowledge a particular person who's with us today. I hope you all are aware of the fact that the Alabama State Teacher of the Year is a Birmingham City Schools teacher. Mr. Reggie White is here with us. Mr. White, please stand. Now, Mr. White this year will be traveling, or is traveling the state as an ambassador for public education, and I can think of no better person to carry that message on our behalf. So thank you, Mr. White, for all that you do. Also, I'd like to thank another group of people. I'd like for all of our educators who are present with us this evening to stand. All educators, please stand. Our teachers, our support staff work hard every day in Birmingham City Schools to ensure that our scholars have a very bright future. I have to say thank you. As a proud graduate of Birmingham City Schools, I am just so grateful every day for what was poured into me and what is being poured into our scholars on a regular basis. Now we'll get started, and I'd like to first introduce, he really needs no introduction, one of the biggest advocates for public education I have ever met, and that is our mayor, Mr. Randall L. Woodfin. Mayor Woodfin, please come forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon again, everybody. Listen, I'm really, really glad everybody is present this afternoon. Ms. Cheryl kicked us off with some acknowledgments, but I want to continue on those acknowledgments. I want to first thank Wardine Alexander, the president of the Birmingham City Council, and all of her colleagues for being present. We believe this is a very important topic, and by their presence here, they are showing that commitment. So to the Birmingham City Council, thank you all so much for being present. That was a mistake. But thank you for that. I also want to acknowledge Dr. Mark Sullivan, Birmingham Superintendent, as well as the Birmingham Board of Education led by Jason Meadows. They are here, the board members are here on the front row. Thank you all so much. We also have State Senator Roger Smitherman, who was responsible for probably allowing us to actually have this meeting today and has done so much for education in the city of Birmingham as our state senator. So thank you, Senator, for everything you do. To the second and third grade teachers that are present, to all the educators, and a big, big yes of folk here, those who are our partners, nonprofits, faith organizations, and so many others. Could you all actually please stand? Partners in this work, can you stand and be acknowledged? So here's what I want to do. I want to give you the reason why we're here. A law was created recently that says, starting next year, by the end of the next school year, if third graders are not reading at third grade level, then they will be automatically held behind. And that frightens me, because I believe that if one child fails, that's one too many. So I believe it's incumbent upon us to not put that burden only on third grade teachers, to not only allow those third grade parents and families to shoulder that the school system should not be held responsible only for that, that as mayor, as city council, as school board, as educators, as state-based leaders and nonprofits and the philanthropic and business and corporate community and every citizen in this city that is an adult, we should all lean in on this to make sure we're doing everything we can to make sure no children have to repeat the third grade. The truth is, everybody, that's incumbent upon all of us. And so if you're here, then that means you are prepared to lean in as much as we are. There was no world where we would be caught flat-footed next year and attempting to start this conversation next year when this law is in effect. And so it's important that we start it and have this conversation now. So just a few stats, and then I'll get out of the way. According to the Alabama State Department of Education, the over 1,600 third grade students in Birmingham City Schools, you all need to know this because we need to own our data. 56% read on or above grade level. By math, that leaves 730 third graders at about 44% reading at below level. We have to own that. We collectively have to own that. And so to support our students, what the city of Birmingham has done in commitment is partner with the Birmingham City School System. We created a program called Page Pals. And this reading initiative is very simple. It is to increase the reading proficiency for elementary students, especially those K through third grade. Page Pals creates more opportunities for students to read outside of the normal classroom setting at schools with volunteers. So this is a volunteer-based program. It does not necessarily take away from all the existing organizations that are already doing the work. It is simply to augment and support what's already being done on the ground. The Page Pals initiative started in the spring of 2022 school year, and I'm proud to acknowledge Galvin Billups and this entire DYS team who's in the back. Please wave your hands for everybody to see y'all. So now I want to talk about plan of action. The City of Birmingham Division of Youth Services, who I just acknowledged, will continue to partner with volunteers at various Birmingham City schools to provide support for students to increase their reading proficiency with more practice. Volunteers will participate in group reading for students, helping them grow their reading comprehension skills and building critical background knowledge that will help them to fare better on their standardized tests, not just for next year, but starting this year. The utilization of volunteers gives the community a chance to make a positive impact on Birmingham City School third graders and improve their reading skills during some of the most critical points of their development. So the volunteer portion of this, starting inside the 27 Birmingham City elementary and K through 8 volunteer in schools, volunteers will be able to directly serve a large population of students. Well, the main goal is to help students increase the amount of time they spend reading, everybody, and that is helping students build their background knowledge in the other core subjects. Volunteers will engage third grade students through read aloud and conversation, and simply giving the scholars another opportunity to refine their skills through judgment-free practice. The last note, what will volunteers actually do? A volunteer will aid teachers in group reading activities. The shifts will be for 30 minutes. This will be in the third grade class library time, or during the third grade library time. Volunteers will read certain materials with students through the Birmingham City Schools curriculum that helps them grow in their background knowledge in social studies and science. Volunteers will also act as accountability partners for the students and ask them about the support for their reading goals. That's the notes. Here's me looking you directly in your eyes and pleading with you. This does not work without you as adults and volunteers in our community to do everything we can to support this initiative. I'm very proud to say that last year, Birmingham City School reading scores improved by 9%. That is to be applauded. At the exact same time, I'm comfortable looking you in your eyes and telling you that's not enough. There is more work to do, and it's going to be successful if all adults lean in. So engage. You need to directly engage and assist us in this effort. And with that, I want to introduce to you all the leader of Birmingham City Schools, a person I believe not only has the best interests of our students in mind, but is actually in the trenches doing the work, and that is our Superintendent, Dr. Mark Sullivan.
Good. We have a mayor in this city that we need to be very, very proud of, because he has always been an advocate for education. And he stood up here and he asked everyone to give rounds of applause for different groups, but I think we should give a round of applause for our mayor. Great job. I want to also thank the City Council for your commitment to education and literacy in this area. The mayor mentioned our school board members, but I want to take a moment to have each one of them to stand up, because parents, these are the individuals who represent you in education. And I am so blessed to work with 9 members of the board who are committed to excellence and committed to the education of the students in our area. So I'm going to ask our board president, Mr. Meadows, please stand. Ms. Williams, please stand. Mr. Billups. Ms. Watkins. Now, he's probably going to get upset if I call him Walter, but Big Walt, please stand. Mr. Sullivan. And our board vice president, Ms. Boyle. You know, I talked about the mayor being an advocate for this gentleman about 20 years. He has been an advocate for Birmingham City Schools ever since I've known him. And so I'm going to stop for a moment to allow Senator Smitherman to come up and say a few words about the work that he's done as it relates to the Literacy Act. Senator Smitherman. Hey, brother. Oh, absolutely.
Praise the Lord, saints. Come on with it. Praise the Lord, saints. Because let me tell you something. Without him, we would be where we hope we don't be 2 years from now.
Yeah.
You know, only the Lord change the hearts and minds of many of my colleagues who were determined that this testing was going to take place this last May. Only the Lord. I mean, the numbers tell you the fact. When you got a majority of people who want to do something else, only the Lord can touch their hearts and minds. And that's what took place. That's why we gave him praise right then. But it's such an honor to be here today just to talk to you all, to share with you all. And I can tell you, you ever been in a situation where all of a sudden you see a crisis hit you? Well, that's the way I felt when this bill hit the floor of the Senate. And from that moment on, I knew that we need to do everything we could with the pandemic and everything else taking place with us. We needed time. We needed time to try to get these kids together and get them on track with reading. Now, everything you've heard, I want you to embrace from these two men. I want you to embrace it because it's going to take a village to do that. I want you to understand. When I said village, I want to recognize Judge Smith. Stick your hand up over there, wife. Let them see you. And I want y'all to know the reason, because when she was on the council, she went to where I'm finna go right now with y'all. Not only what they're doing, because the mayor's right, and the superintendent's right, it's going to take more than them. We need our churches. We need you all to set up what Carol has set up as the city council person. That's called Children of the Village tutorial programs. We talking about for reading. We need coordination for what y'all need on the board for them to be tutoring out there, so it won't be just working in vain. We need the understanding that we have got to give all we got, because listen, I'm gonna say this right here, we don't want what can happen at the end. We talking about dropout. We talking about bullets because people are held back, older kids. See, we don't want what can happen on the other end. So that's why it's so important for us to dive in now and give all of yourself. I end with this analysis. Many of you all may not understand this unless you're my age, but there was a commercial, and it was a Fram oil commercial. They had a filter sitting over here, and they had a motor sitting over here that's blown up. And the phrase was this: pay me now, pay me later. Yeah. We want to pay now for the sake of our kids. All who agree with what you've heard and what's been said, let's say amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Senator. As you can see, he is a true advocate for education, and you are too. Your presence here shows us that you care about the future of the students in the city of Birmingham. We're here to talk about literacy. It's a fundamental skill that starts when a child enters pre-K. You know, when children are in pre-K through third grade, they learn to read. Beyond third grade, they use reading to learn. You know, we have a student, and I want to share this student with you, and the mayor talked about the Page Pals program. This student is an epic student. Her name is Marley, and she read a book, and she read a page from a book through the Page Pals initiative. And the mayor mentioned the Page Pals initiative. We have Gavin Billups, who's going to talk a little bit more about this program. But this is about the community coming together and supporting literacy amongst our students. So let's listen to Marley read the story, read her page.
My name is Marley. I am a third grader at the elementary school. I'm going to be reading a page for you out of my favorite book, Martin's Big Words. For 381 days, they walked to work and school and church. They walked in rain and cold and in blistering heat. Martin walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them until the white city leaders had to agree they could sit anywhere they wanted. When the history books are written, someone will say there have been black people who have the courage to stand up for their rights. I am a Page Pal, and you can be one too.
Outstanding, Marley. As a third grader, Marley read Martin's Big Words. In her life, as a student in Birmingham City Schools, She will study the speeches of Dr. King in her language arts classes. She will study the philosophy of nonviolence in her social studies classes and how the civil rights movement impacted us even to this day. You know, the students, and the mayor mentioned this earlier, the students in Birmingham City Schools made significant gains last year in reading. We increased by 9 points in reading, but let me tell you, that is not good enough. We need to ensure that every student in Birmingham City schools can read on or above grade level. It can be done. You know, I was a student in Birmingham City Schools. I went to Riggins Elementary School in North Birmingham, and many of you may know where that is. It's right behind North Birmingham housing community. And I went to school with students who came from very difficult circumstances, many of which our students today come from difficult circumstances. But what we had teachers who cared about our students, just like we have teachers today. We had paraprofessionals and administrators who cared about the well-being of our students as people and individuals. But we also had, even in those humble beginnings, we had a community that wrapped their arms around us and they were concerned about us as children. We need to bring that back to our city. We need to bring that back to our school system. You know, Page Pals puts people who may have been foot soldiers in the march reading to students like Marley. Even beyond Marley learning about the pages in the book, learning about that person who is teaching her is powerful and impactful, and it says to Marley, you matter, we care about your success. You know, we're going to be successful with this program because we have to be. You know, the challenge is too great for us not to be successful. Our students are precious, and they are relying on us for their success. And I know I go into classrooms every day. I was at Oxmoor Valley today and I saw some wonderful things, but we can't do it alone. We have to have our parents and we have to have our community working together for the common goal of no student in Birmingham City Schools being affected by this third grade literacy assessment. Now I have with us one of our great educators. I've known her for quite some time. Her name is Karen Hayes, and she is the leader of our instructional coaching program, and she's going to talk to you a little bit more specifically about the Literacy Act. But our goal here today is to leave this room as a collective body to change the trajectory of the lives of the students in this school system. No matter where you come from, that has no indication of where you will end up. Because I was a student in the North Birmingham Housing Project, going to Riggins School, and now I'm superintendent of Birmingham City Schools, and I'm humbled and humbled to serve in that role. Thank you. All right. How you doing? I went off script, Cheryl. All right,
Good evening. I want to provide a little backdrop for you about the Alabama Literacy Act. First, this act, the Alabama legislature passed this Literacy Act in 2019, and it became effective September 1st, 2019. Now, what does the law say? Beginning with the 2023-2024 school year, that's our second graders right now, third grade students are expected to demonstrate sufficient reading skills on the state standardized test for promotion to fourth grade. That state standardized test is ACAP. There are good cause exemptions, but our goal for BCS students is that all of our students will be reading well. Now, why was this act established? It was established to implement steps to improve the reading proficiency of public school students, kindergarten to third grade, and to ensure that those students are able to read on or above grade level by the end of third grade. Go back one. Why is the deadline for third grade? Research shows that 90% of our children with reading difficulties will achieve grade level reading if if they receive the help in first grade. That's why that act says kindergarten through third grade, because we start our foundational skills in kindergarten. So if we start targeting our students in first grade, then we can be on the trajectory of making sure that they are reading by the end of third grade. 70% of our children whose help is delayed to age 9, which is third grade or later, continue to struggle throughout their academic career. Now, part of the Literacy Act, there are steps and procedures and protocols in place. Some of that is parent notification. We have early assessments that happen at the beginning of the school year. We are in that flow right now with our district. At the end of that assessment, teachers, principals, all hands on deck will analyze the data to see if there is a consistent deficiency. So they're going to look at work samples as well as the data. If there is a consistent deficiency, the parent or legal guardian will be notified. The Act also put into place that when we're getting ready to create our SRIP plans, that the parents will have an active voice in that plan. Oh, I'm sorry, SRIP, Student Reading Improvement Plan. If there is a consistent deficiency and everyone sits at the table, collectively we will talk about strategies and resources that we can use to help move our students to where they need to be. Now, this is the part I like the best. How are we supporting our students here in BCS? Well, as I mentioned previously, we have an early literacy assessment that is administered 3 times a year, beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year. We have our K-3 teachers who are participating in the Language Essentials for Teachers of Reading and Spelling. Everyone knows it as LETTERS. Currently, we have 183 teachers in our BCS cohort, and we have approximately 150 teachers who have already completed this 2-year commitment. Now that deserves a round of applause, because that shows the level of commitment our teachers have to make sure our students are successful. We have intercession. Our first intercession will be the first week of October. It is targeted for those students who showed a consistent deficiency and who's performing a grade level or more behind in reading. The instruction they're going to get, it is laser focused and it is intentional. In the summer, we have our summer reading camps. Our students will receive an additional 60 hours of reading instruction. And the thing about it, it's free. It's free, parents. I would sign my children up. Lunch is included. The bus picks them up. We provide after-school care, and then they get some extracurricular activities. We have a framework in place, our 3 blocks of literacy, in which our English language and humanities coordinator, she developed this 3 blocks of literacy. This 3 blocks is based off of the science of reading. The time allocations for each block it lines up with the LETTERS training that our teachers are receiving. And this year, we are rolling out the 6 T's of instruction. That instruction is so imperative for our students because it keeps them focused on the task, the target, the text, the talk, the test, and there are some other T's. School-based interventions through the response to instruction model. So after our students have received core instruction, we look at that. We have Tier 2 intervention in which we utilize the iReady learning pathway that is targeted. It focuses on what our students need. And then we have Tier 3 intervention that Sound Sensible Inspire. Layered with that, we have that partnership with the city with Page Pals. So our students are working with reading on devices and they're reading with human beings, which is most important. And that's the end of my part, and I just want you all to know, parents, you are the most important investor in your child's education. Without you, there is no us.
Good evening, everyone, to our mayor, Mayor Wolfen, our Superintendent, Dr. Mark Sullivan. As Karen talked about this work that we are doing to meet the needs of our students in Birmingham City Schools, the mayor said something so profound when he said that we could not do this work by ourselves. We need the partnerships of everyone in this room, and we would like to personally thank our mayor for his vision to be able to support the work that we do in our schools. And just to show you just a glimpse of what support can do to help our students, we want to take a look back just quickly at the data this year to motivate everyone in this room to sign up on the signs that they're going to have to become a partner with our Page Pal program to support the work that we're doing in Birmingham City Schools. And the data that we are about to show you could not have been done without the support of our Page Pals program and all of those tutors who've come into our building to support our third graders this year. And as a result of that, along with all of the other supports that have been put in place, we have a true story and a true testament that we have come a long ways in Birmingham. As our mayor and as our superintendent, Dr. Mark Sullivan, has stated, that we still have a long ways to go. And we are not satisfied in Birmingham City Schools until every student is reading on grade level. But we also have to take a moment to look at where we've come from and to really understand that we are moving the needle. And if you would join along with us through the Page Pals program, we know that we can accelerate this success even at a greater level. Just looking quickly at our second graders, as you can see on this slide, there was an 8 percentage point gain of our students in Birmingham City Schools. And remember that we were 2 years in a pandemic. So I just want to just say that Birmingham is making tremendous progress to close the achievement gap for our students. But once again, we're not satisfied until that is 100%. Next slide. Third graders, we see that our students are on the move. Even in our third grade group who are fourth graders, we are not going to leave those students behind who are not reading. We have plans in place and through the supports of our Page Pals program to be able to support those students that although they may have moved beyond the accountability, that we still will capture those students to ensure that they are reading on grade level, that so that when they matriculate to the 5th grade, all of those students, our goal will be reading on grade level as well. The next slide shows our second and third grade students together. There was a 10 percentage point gain overall of all of our second and third grade students from last year who are reading on grade level. That ought to be commended. Just to dig into the data on the next slide just a little bit more, as you see the levels of students, as the mayor said, we still have a long ways to go. That means that 44% of our students were still not reading on grade level. And we know that through this partnership with the mayor's office, under the vision of our superintendent, Dr. Sullivan, that we will close the achievement gap for every single student in Birmingham City Schools. The last few slides is really showing very telling information about our data. You don't really get a chance to see this level of data. Sometimes it's not posted on the news or in the newspaper, but we want to share this story with you to let you know that the partnership that we have is working and the work that we're doing in Birmingham City Schools is making a difference. As you can see, at the end of 2021, we tested 1,476 third graders. At the end of last year, that number increased to 1,675. We had almost a 200 increase of third graders that tested this school year prior to the previous year. Now, statistically and mathematically, when you test more kids, technically that then makes the numbers come down. But in Birmingham City Schools, instead of those numbers decreasing, they actually increased. Also, as you can see, that we are closing the gap on the next slide. You can see that there was over a 30% gap with Birmingham City Schools to the state. The state actually flatlined in the number of students. They didn't decrease the number of non-readers. They didn't increase the number of non-readers. But if you can see, and this is a testament to the work of the Page Pals program and the partnerships and the work that we're doing, that's why we are so excited about the increase of tutors who are coming to support our students, because it is making a difference. As you can see here, we went from 53% to 44%. That was over a 30% gap on the left side. We're already beginning to close that gap with the state. So if you're wondering, should you sign up and be a part of the Page Pals program, the answer is emphatically yes and yes and yes, because it is making a difference. Also with Birmingham versus Alabama, when we look at our African American students, we were almost a 20% gap, but with the state, we've closed that and brought that down to 11% gap. And then in the area for poverty, we were also over almost a 20% gap. We've closed that gap to 13. So what does that mean for us? With you signing up and becoming a part of this work with the Page Pals, that we will be able to have you to sign up and work in our schools, working with the wonderful students and the excellent teachers in Birmingham City Schools, that at the end of this year, we want to close that gap with the state to 0, and not only just close it, but we want to exceed the state in the level of achievement. And by the way, I do want to say this, the way the data is looking, our third graders this year is set to outperform where the third graders were pre-pandemic. I'm going to say that one more time. The third graders in Birmingham City Schools, after 2 years of serving in a pandemic, learning remotely, and then coming back in a structured environment, is set to outperform where the third graders were before there was even a pandemic. And that is the testament to our educators, to our principals, to this wonderful partnership, to the vision of our superintendent. And we know that you will enjoy working with our students in Birmingham City Schools, and we look forward to having each of you, as the mayor and as our superintendent, Dr. Mark Sullivan, has stated, to come in and to support the work that our students are doing, so that we can ensure that all of our students will graduate, matriculate and graduate, and move on to have a limitless future. Thank you so very much. One more slide. I do want to share this. When we looked at the data in Birmingham City Schools as percentage point gains year over year, Birmingham, and it's probably not going to be on the news, that's why we're sharing this story on our behalf, is that in Birmingham City Schools, we were one of the top 10 districts in the state to close and increase the percentage of students reading on grade level. Now, what I also want you to know is all the districts that are ahead of us only had about roughly 200 students in their whole third grade classes. We have 1,600 kids in our third grade class, and even in the midst of that, we were able to rank as one of the top districts in the state as they're increasing the number of students. One last thing I would like to say, what this number means, that this is the districts in the state, but when you look at all the large urban school districts in this state, that would be Montgomery, Mobile, Huntsville, Jefferson County. Birmingham City Schools, of all the largest school districts in the state of Alabama, that moved and increased the percentage of students reading on grade level, Birmingham City Schools, out of all those large districts, is number one. And that is a testament to the work. And we thank you, and we're so grateful for the Page Pals program, and we look forward to the increased partnership. Thank you. Now we'll turn it over to Lakisha Douglas, our Family Engagement Program Specialist, who will walk us through how parents can continue to be engaged in Birmingham City Schools. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am Lakisha Douglas. I am the Family Involvement Program Specialist for Birmingham City Schools, and I get the pleasure of working with the best parents in Birmingham. Give yourselves a round of applause. Some of the ways that parent and family engagement will support our parents and families is by setting the goal to increase student achievement by supporting our parents in a variety of ways. Some of the ways that we will do that is to empower our parents and other stakeholders to become actively involved in their children's education across all grade levels. Some of the things that we have put in place for this year is our parent power sessions, and we also call them our parent parties. And who doesn't like a good party? This is definitely a party with a purpose, and our purpose is to support families by helping them learn different reading strategies that can be used with the children at home. Our parent power sessions also involve our community partners over Birmingham to share different opportunities that are available to them. We also have our Birmingham City Schools district departments to help lead some of those parent parties and to engage parents and helping them know that the skills and strategies that they are using every day at school, they can apply those skills at home. And so parents learn those things so that you all can best help your children by utilizing the information that they have learned. Our district provides those parent power sessions every month, on the second Monday of each month via Zoom at 10 a.m. and also at 5:30 p.m. All of those sessions are recorded and are made available to each parent and is placed on our website for your convenience. Another way that we are supporting literacy is providing our parent engagement programs for each local school. All 42 of our schools have a parent and family engagement program. This program is designed to categorize each local school's parents' needs. And so every parent has the availability to come to the schools or participate via Zoom because every school caters their program to the needs of you, the parents. Another way that we support literacy is our technology training sessions just for parents and families. We recognize that our parent and family engagement is just not moms and dads, but it's also grandparents, uncles, aunts, godparents, everyone that has a hand in helping develop the child. And so the devices that Birmingham City Schools provides to each student that they get to take home and do their work on, that we have technology training sessions that will help parents and families become familiar with those devices so that they can help the children at home. Just not the devices, we also give you all insight on how to go to different websites that will sharpen the skills that children learn at home as well as apply them at school. These technology sessions are provided the fourth Thursday of every month at 5:30 p.m. And last but not least, we have some texting tips and information. I'm going to ask you to take out your cell phones for quickly a minute. And I want you, if you're a parent, or you can give this number to your friends and neighbors. The parents you can text the word reading. Text the word reading to 205-941-6585, and you can receive texting tips that are updated weekly. Now, I will tell you, this is not a group text. This is not a group text. You will not be bombarded with anyone texting you. This is information at your fingertips that you request. So at any time, you can text this number 24 hours a day, and it will give you reading tips or texting tips that will help you with your child at home. Also, it has some information about our district, the Birmingham City School District. If you want to know what's on the school calendar, you can text the word calendar. If you want to know what's on the lunch menu, you can text the word lunch. So this is a texting software that parent and family engagement is providing to our parents and families that will help you know what's going on in Birmingham City Schools. We are continuously working with you all to help make sure that you get the best information to support you and your family. And one more thing, parents, can you please say for me, I am somebody. I make a difference. The difference you make parents makes all the difference. Have a great day. And now I want to introduce Ms. Jacqueline Dent. She is our Literacy and Humanities Coordinator for grades K through 5.
Before I get started, you all, I have one quick church announcement. Please, you all, if you have written any questions on those question cards that were given to you by the door greeters, please remember to hold those question cards up, because we do have floor monitors who are ready and prepared to collect those questions for our question and answer session. All right. So now, officially, good evening to all of our Birmingham City Schools families and friends. My name is Jacqueline Dent. I serve you as our kindergarten through 5th grade literacy and humanities coordinator for the district. I would like to share some strategies that we implemented last year during school, after school, as well as at-home strategies in order to support the development of early literacy skills in grades K through 3. One of those strategies was the Family Engagement Literacy Leaders. These are retired Birmingham City School reading specialists that provided parents with workshops and strategies that they could use at home to develop their child's reading and writing skills. Another strategy, we were looking at how could we develop literacy skills at home. So there were 3 strategies that we targeted, and I would like you parents to please continue to implement those same strategies this year. One of those, if you're focusing in on column number 2, was to have your child read for 15 minutes a day. Another, have them read several books on the same topic to build knowledge as well as vocabulary about that topic, which in turn helps them with their reading comprehension. And then that third strategy, parents, when your children are reading, when your children are watching television, this is as easy as it gets. Turn on the closed caption. When you turn that closed caption on, it's allowing kids to hear the language people are saying and seeing those words on the screen at the same time, which helps to develop their vocabulary and word recognition skills. And then in column number 3, in that last column, you see a strategy that we implemented during school, after school, and at home. That strategy was Page Pals. Page Pals, which you've already heard some things about, was a reading initiative that we entered into with the City of Birmingham Department of Youth Services. We set 2 goals for Page Pals in the spring. One was to increase the amount of time students spent reading both in school and out of school, and the other was to motivate our students to read. How many of you know that it's one thing when you have the ability to do something, it's another thing when you have the ability and desire to do something? When we set those goals for our 3rd grade students, we set reading goals to be sure that our students were reading for at least 15 minutes a day in and out of school. And we monitored the amount of time that students were reading on our MyYum reading platform. The City of Birmingham Department of Youth Services, they collaborated with their partners to provide our students with prizes if they met their reading goal. We had several 3rd grade students not only to meet the goal, but far exceed the goal. I'm not going to call student names, and I won't call school names because that's how you get in trouble. But I will say this, we had some of our 3rd grade students in just 1 month's time to read 1,000 minutes, you all. Thank you for the hand clap for our scholars. We know there are positive benefits associated with the amount of time that students spend reading, and because Page Pals was like an open invitation to all of our kindergarten through 5th grade students to read, the top class on each grade level, kindergarten through 5th grade, that read the most minutes on our MyYum reading platform, they received a pizza party and a visit from a local celebrity. One of those schools was visited visited by Bo Scarborough. I'm a Roll Tide fan, so I fanned out when I saw Bo. But they were visited by a local celebrity, all thanks to and provided by the City of Birmingham and the Department of Youth Services. Page Pals also had volunteers reading to our elementary school students in our after-school programs. The goal was to have any place that has our students after school to host a Read with a Child event. This included our local libraries. This included our after-school care programs in Birmingham City Schools. We wanted to get our community involved to show that the city of Birmingham reads. Our students love the attention of having someone read to them or listen to them read. Because of that, we had 13 Page Pals ambassadors in our summer reading camps this summer. Now, those Page Pals ambassadors, they were actually Birmingham City Schools, middle school and high school students that were working with the City of Birmingham's Department of Youth Services. And while the teacher was working with students in a small group, these Page Pals ambassadors read to and listened to our students while they were reading. The beauty of this, all of these students belong to us. They were all Birmingham City School students. I need you to focus your attention on that picture in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. The beauty in that picture, you all, we had in some cases, African American male BCS middle and high school students reading with and listening to our young Birmingham City School black males reading. I don't know about you, but that picture to me, it says it all. That was then, and this is now. Our goal this year is to continue our work with Page Pals and use this strategy to develop students' ability to read while also increasing their desire to read. For we know, oh, the places you'll go when you read a book. Open the page with a pal and take a look. For the more we read, the more we know. And the more we know, well, the more we grow. So thank you, Page Pals. Because of you, this one thing we know is true. When you read to me, I'll read to you. Since I have been talking so much about the City of Birmingham Department of Youth Services, let me introduce to you the Director of Youth Services for the City of Birmingham, Mr. Galvin Billups.
Good evening. We're going to move from data and strategy now into what you can do as the community. As she said, I'm Galvin Billups, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Director for the Department of Youth Services for the City of Birmingham. I think I have one of the coolest jobs here in the city because every day I get a chance to champion the work that goes around many of the students that you all touch every day. So on behalf of the mayor, I'm just grateful to be here and grateful to be a BCS alum. Now, one of the things I do want to tell you is there's a call to action, how you can get involved. On our screen to my immediate left, your right, you will see a QR code. This QR code will be available even after we have concluded the program, and it will also live on the sites of BCS and the City of Birmingham streams. For those of you who will be joining live stream tonight, you will also see that information perhaps dropped into the chat. But feel free to right now take pictures of that QR code and provide your information. We'll be glad to follow up with you. We'll begin to provide notices after Labor Day for those individuals who will be ready to go into the classroom. As you've heard from the mayor, as you heard from the superintendent, and from the entire team at BCS, Page Pals works because of you. And so we need your volunteer support. Here's an opportunity for you to get involved. And I'm so excited to be able to lead this effort. Now, you all also have, that was placed before you tonight, cards. And it is time for a little Q&A. So if those of you who have filled out your cards, one more time, make sure that you raise your hands. And I'm going to welcome back to the stage our moderator, Ms. Cheryl Stewart, to lead us in the Q&A. Cheryl.
Thank you again. I mean, we have received so much valuable information this afternoon. But before we go on into the Q&A, we are very fortunate to have with us both the president of the Birmingham City Council and the president of the Birmingham Board of Education. And they don't know I'm going to do this, but it was a special request, for an A and B selection. So I'm going to ask Council President Alexander, Board President Mr. Meadows, please come forward just for a moment and say what's on your heart.
Well, good evening. I'm Wardine Alexander. I'm president of the Birmingham City Council. I have the pleasure and the honor of representing District 7. As most of you know, Birmingham City Schools is very dear and near to me. I am a BCS alum, so I'm always excited to see what is going on in our Birmingham City Schools. I've also had the opportunity to serve and work on the school board, so I'm thankful to be here. I want to thank our Mayor Woodfin. I'd like to thank our superintendent for them collaborating to give this opportunity for our students to succeed. As has been said this evening, it is up to all of us. We're going to have to put all boots on the ground to ensure that our children succeed. I'm very excited to see what Birmingham City Schools have done so far, and we are just here as the City Council to support in any way that we can. I took out that phone, I text my number, so I want to get my text too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam President, for those words. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I just want to take a moment to again celebrate not just the individuals of our Superintendent, Dr. Sullivan, and our Mayor, Mayor Woodfin, but more importantly, I want to celebrate the spirit of collaboration. I have a saying that I truly believe, and that is that we go further, farther, faster when we do it together. You can celebrate small victories by yourself, but when you work together, you can celebrate overwhelming victories. And so I just want to applaud them for the willingness to work together. We can't do this alone. Our primary objective, we serve as the board. It's an honor to serve with my colleagues, and I have the pleasure from them to serve as their president. We serve simply to move our schools and to educate our students. Simply, if we want to change our city, we start with our youngest constituents, and those are our children. And I've told many people that no matter if you have a child in Birmingham City Schools, if you live in Birmingham, someone was telling me this week, Birmingham is the catalyst not only for Jefferson County, but the state of Alabama and the entire country. If we get this right, everything changes. And so I just want to again ask everybody to roll up your sleeves, take a little extra time before you go home in the evening, stop by a school, stop by your local library, find a way to get involved. I believe if we do this together, we will do this well, and we will see the change in the trajectory of our children's lives. So thank you again. We appreciate you all coming out tonight, and we can't do this without you.
Thank you so very much, President Alexander, President Meadows. Now, I have some questions, but before I get to the questions, just a few reminders, announcements. We have books available as you exit. We also have information for you to take home with you that gives greater detail about the Literacy Act. Please stop by, pick up the books, read them with your children, with your friends' children, your play cousins, everybody. Read, let's work together, as you have heard. Now, we have some questions that have been submitted. We're going to try to get to as many of them as possible. However, we also want to respect your time. For those of you who included contact information, if we don't get to your question, we will contact you with those answers. So, first of all, we have a question from Mayor Woodfin. A few years ago, you launched Birmingham Promise. Now we're talking about early literacy. What's the relationship between early literacy and the Birmingham Promise, Mayor Woodford?
Just a quick answer. The correlation is really, really important here. We started with the exit in mind to expose our children to opportunity. That is, for those who wanted to leave high school early, they could work, receive high school credit hours while being in high school, but be exposed to something they have a career interest in and be paid a livable wage. That same high school student that would graduate, if they were accepted to any 2-year, 4-year state public college or university, could attend tuition free, no questions asked, but simply that they lived in our city limits and graduated from our city school system. But in order to have that opportunity, in order to have that exposure, it's important that our children can read. We have to also focus on the foundation. The exit plan doesn't work if the foundation is not properly laid, and this is why we're here tonight.
We have a question for either the superintendent or another representative of the school board. I work every day. What can I do at home to help my child improve reading?
Testing. So that's a very good question. And I think Ms. Dent said it best. 15 minutes a day. Read to your child 15 minutes a day. If your child is not, listen to your children read 15 minutes a day, and if your child is not old enough to read, you read to your child. There is an enormous amount of research out there about the vocabulary of different types of students. And there is a huge correlation between the number of words a child is exposed to and their academic performance. And that is tied directly to how much exposure they have to literature. Read, read, read. 15 minutes a day, read to your child, or listen to your child read for 15 minutes a day. As a principal, I cannot tell you how many times I have had parents in my office who have never heard their child read. Ever. Never. Or you hear parents talk to children and they want them to be quiet. And that is like the worst thing that you can do. Allow children to talk, express themselves, build their vocabulary. They may be a little bit mouthy at the beginning, but they will be so much more intelligent, so much smarter, because they will have a larger vocabulary. So read, 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 and listen to your children read. All right, thanks.
What do you anticipate being the most challenging obstacle in reaching the goal of No Child Left Behind in 3rd grade?
So I think Ms. Dent mentioned this, and it kind of ties back to what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to work out a little bit more. And so I have the ability to do it, but the motivation to do it is a different thing. Like I was supposed to be at the gym today. So I think one of the biggest challenges is the motivation. You know, sometimes when you're a parent and you've worked a long day, and sometimes it's hard and it's difficult to spend that time, but continue to stay motivated, continue to read to your children, to continue to engage your children's schools. So stay motivated. I think the motivation piece is probably going to be the most difficult part, because the resources are there. You know, we have tons of resources to support students. In just a couple of weeks, each one of your children are going to receive a device to take home. It's a really nice iPad that they can use. The resources are there. We just need to make sure the motivation is there, and we continue the commitment to ensuring that our students are reading on grade level. I believe working together, we're going to make this happen. We're going to make this happen in Birmingham City Schools, and this is going to be a model, Mr. Mayor, for other cities across the nation. So I think the motivation is probably going to be the biggest issue.
Can we find a way to encourage local churches to either implement tutorial programs or to participate in existing programs?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes. This is easy. The answer is yes. I can stop there if you want me to. But to just give a little bit more context, that's already started. This is a beautiful community. I think when if there is anything we need to do as a community, it's this, that we can rally around something that affects all of us, even if we do not have an actual child that's a third grader right now or third grader next year. So in that regards, there is a lot of there have been a lot of conversations with faith leaders in this community. So let me actually take the time right now to pause. If there are any faith leaders in this room, let me say thank you for being here. But what I have noticed, when you got 42 schools, y'all, that's very manageable. I think there are over 1,000 churches. So if we wanted, a lot of churches can adopt one school, but that's already taking place where some faith leaders with their parishioners and those in their congregation have says, I am going to adopt a school in my proximity, and we are going to be all hands-on. And so that's just one way for faith leaders to be involved.
Absolutely.
Each grade level has specific curriculum and standards. What can be done to increase the rigor at earlier grades so that children can be more successful as they progress from pre-K to third grade?
So I'm going to ask Dr. Dawson to come up and talk about Tier 1 instruction, because that is the key to academic success. That initial lessons that are being taught on grade level by teachers. But Dr. Dawson, I'm going to turn that over to you, our academic guy. I think it's on.
Yes, I think Dr. Sullivan has just stated so eloquently, nothing replaces Tier 1 instruction. Nothing that we do can replace what happens with the teacher working with the student. So for us, it's making sure that we have the right resources in the hands of our students each and every day, that we're building the capacity of our teachers to be able to unpack those required state standards and teach them in a way that students will be able to articulate, understand, and to deliver. So in Birmingham City Schools, one of the ways that we are looking to raise rigor is that we change how we do instruction in all of our subjects, not just in literacy. We started with the instructional frameworks that give teachers a particular strategy and tools of how to unpack the standards and to ensure that high rigorous instruction is happening in every school, in every classroom, for every student, every day, bell to bell. And one of the ways that we're tying in this year to help raise that rigor is the 6 T's. You heard Karen talk about that a little earlier. And what it simply says is that after you, in your professional learning communities, that's where teachers come together and they start to plan and to think about where students are and how they're going to plan their instruction. Before they leave that room, they are to ask themselves 6 T questions. What's the target, the teaching, the text, the task, the talk, the test? And let me explain that to you. The target is what the state is going to assess the students on. Rigor is only found really in the assessment. You'll only understand what the level of rigor is if you look and unpack it. I think the mayor said it earlier, of starting at the end and then working your way back to the beginning. So we look at what the state requires of students at the end of the year, and then we do what we call backwards planning to make sure that when they roll out that they understand what the standard is asking them to know, understand, and be able to do. And then is the teaching that you're providing for the students aligned to the rigor of that standard? Are you putting the right resources in front of the kids? Are you providing the right activities for them to do, which we call tasks? Are the students taking academic ownership of their learning in the classroom? And is that evidence when you're hearing them talk, when they're working in small groups? Can they articulate what they're learning? And do you see evidence of that in the work that they are producing? And then the last piece is test, and it's not really test as we just the T for test, but it's really checking along the way, what we call check for understanding, to make sure that as I'm teaching this lesson, before they leave this room, are students really understanding and mastering the lesson? And so this is what we're doing in Birmingham City Schools to continue to raise the level of rigor. And we're pushing that information out to our parents through our FACE committee of how you can get engaged. We just had a family engagement meeting just last week with our parents to show you how you can continue this work at home with your children.
I have one parent with several questions here, but they are sort of related. First of all, what can parents do to ensure that their children are physically and mentally prepared for testing? When will the next state assessments be given? And what considerations are in place to determine whether or not a child will be promoted to 4th grade under the new guidelines?
So, Cheryl, you're going to have to give me those questions again because that was, that was a lot to remember. I think I'll start with the last one, was around the state assessment. So the state assessments are typically in the spring. Probably when many of us were in school, there was a day that you had assessments. But now they have an assessment window, and assessments are done now online. So you have a window for testing. The state has allowed for certain, the word is not Karen, exceptions, but they're good calls. And so good calls is like, for example, if a child is a special needs child, we know that child may not necessarily, based on his disability, be reading on grade level. Or a good cause may be a child who doesn't speak English, and that child is coming to America and they are learning another language. The child is very intelligent. The only difference is that the child can't speak English. And so those are a couple of areas that students, there may be some issues. Cheryl, you got to read that question to me one more time so I can get to it. We got the testing window in the spring.
Now, how can we
April.
ensure that our kids are physically and mentally prepared for test taking?
So, mentally prepared. We have a program in the city of Birmingham that we assess our students through what we call, it's a Rethink Ed. And it's a program that really works with the social and emotional needs of students. You know, after coming out of this pandemic, we've seen a lot of issues around mental health. And when you think about mental health issues, people typically think that is a child who may be throwing a chair across the classroom, or a child who may be acting out. But that's not what we typically see when we talk about mental health issues. You see children who have depression. You have children who have anxiety. That doesn't present itself very well. You have students who have self-harm behaviors. Right, and so we trained all of our school. We have teams in our schools. We train them through what we call a MAT training, and part of what MAT training does is it helps teachers to identify those signs of mental health issues that are not prominent. You know, you can see somebody throwing a chair in the classroom. You can't see somebody who may be cutting themselves. You can't see somebody who may be depressed. You can't see somebody who may have anxiety. And those behaviors that you see in the classroom may not be disruptive behaviors, but they may be a byproduct of an underlying mental health issue. So we are working with our teachers in our schools to identify some of those. And kids have test anxiety. I mean, what we do not want to happen is a child who is 9 to 8 years old in 3rd grade, and they don't do as well as they think they can do on this test because of how they may be feeling mentally, and we label them with the label of failing. That seems to me unfair. And so what we are doing in the school system, we identified a mock testing or practice testing program where we identify whether students have issues with whether they're on grade level or not. And then we put interventions in place to support those students so they can be successful. And even after they take the test, if they don't do well, we still have a summer program where the students can take the test again at the end of the summer after they've done the summer program to try to improve their score. Our goal is that nobody has to do that the first time they take the test, they go in and they do well. I will say this about reading. Reading not only teaches you, allows you to understand the curriculum, allows you to be more engaged in school, but it also builds confidence among your students. Students walk a little bit differently. Their chest pokes out. You know, you have one of the things that you learn when you are an educator, you learn avoidance tactics that children use. And an avoidance tactic is when it's time for reading lessons, somebody has to go to the restroom. You know, because I don't want to be in the classroom when reading is going on. Avoidance tactic is when you start a lesson and then you see a child starts misbehaving. Because I'd rather spend time in the office, in the principal's office, than sit in the classroom and everybody know I can't read. So I'd rather be the tough guy than the kid who can't read. And so what we want to do is build that self-confidence in our children so that they can stand on their own 2 feet and be successful in the classroom. Oh, sure.
Okay. This is a two-pronged question. What additional considerations will come into play in assessing whether a child is promoted to 4th grade? And what is the plan for support for those students who don't reach that goal?
You are up. She's outstanding, by the way.
That puts the pressure on
No
how
pressure.
I answer that question, huh? So, in thinking about Ms. Haynes as well as Dr. Sullivan, they have already mentioned those good cause exemptions, so that there are some exceptions, you all, that if a student in 3rd grade, if the state has identified a target scale score on that reading assessment, they're not looking at the other components on the assessment like writing or like language. They are only looking at our grade level reading standards. And so they're looking to see if students, the way they perform on that assessment, if students are meeting that scale score that they have established. If a student does not meet that scale score, then what happens, there will be some other options. And that other option will be those students can attend our summer reading camp, and the assessment will be given again during the summer reading camp. If then they are not able to meet that proficiency score, satisfy that score, then what happens, they will have like a portfolio. And with this portfolio, the state has already identified specific standards for us to collect work samples to see if the work samples that students have, if they meet those requirements from that have been identified from the state. If they meet those requirements, you all, with those standards for that student portfolio, then they will be allowed to move on to the 4th grade. So there are some, it's not like if they don't pass that with that proficiency that the state has established, it's not like they don't have other opportunities to take the assessment again. If they don't meet that score, remember there's a portfolio for 3rd grade students based on standards that the state has identified that we have to see if students, because all students are not good test takers, you all. And so because of that, we want to provide other means to those scholars to see whether or not they can satisfy those 3rd grade standards outside of the pressures of that assessment platform that I think was the previous question. So I think
That's it. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Dent. Thank you to all of the presenters. That was the final question for the evening. We did not get to all of them. However, many of you included your contact information, and we'll be reaching out to you with additional follow-up information to address the questions that you posed to us. I want to thank Dr. Sullivan, the mayor, the city of Birmingham, the Birmingham Board of Education, and the council. And I'll ask, this is one last time, Mayor Woodfin, do you have any closing remarks? Dr. Sullivan, any closing remarks?
I'll let the superintendent go last as our leader of our schools and head of our children. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. This is very important, so you took 90 minutes out of your time, out of your busy schedules to be here with us. It means you care, it means you're concerned, it means you want to be involved. This is not the end, this is the beginning. There are more style meetings to come, there's more interaction and engagement to come. Please stay tuned, please stay involved. Thank you for your commitment. Have a good night.
You know, Mr. Mayor, I want to say ditto. Thank you for coming out. I see our educators in the room. We know that, you know, the work with Page Pal is like the icing on the cake, but the action